Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is enjoying their day. Please subscribe and like the video before continuing. The Young and the Restless spoilers. Kane recorded Kyle and Audra's naughtiness, uses it to blackmail Jack. The Young and the Restless, Y&R, spoilers indicate that Kyle Abbott, Michael Mealor, and Audra Charles's, Zuleika Silver, little paw party in her train car is old news. Get updates on the latest news about The Young and the Restless, straight to your inbox. We use your personal data for interest-based advertising, as outlined in our privacy notice. What is this? Over and done with? Or is it? It would be a shame to let all that naughtiness go to waste, and we have a hunch that their encounter was recorded. Kane Ashby, Billy Flynn, told Chance Chancellor, Connor Floyd, that no cameras were placed in the bedrooms, but can we trust him? Nah, all day. Citizen Kane cannot be trusted, and he watched his guests in public spaces, so who's to say he didn't also have private rooms wired? Let's unpack this juicy sitch, Y&R fans. Will Claire implode? We would be almost disappointed if Kane didn't monitor his guests in their sleeping cars. Why ruin his bad guy image with a bit of decorum? The show went to a lot of trouble to set up Kyle and Audra for a slip-up. Would they just let this scandalous plot go with the wind? After all, Kyle and Audra were practically naked while they made out, even if Kyle says it was fake on his part. His own mom, Diane Jenkins Abbott, Susan Walters, warned that Claire Newman, Haley Aaron, wouldn't like Kyle playing along with Audra's game. Kyle crossed a line. Claire is grieving Cole Howard's, Eddie Peck, death, and Kyle doesn't want to add to her troubles with the reveal that Victor Newman, Eric Braden, hired Audra to seduce him. What is this? But if there's camera footage, Kyle is cooked. Kane would not hesitate to use such footage if it benefited him. Kane could blackmail Kyle and Jack Abbott, Peter Bergman, or give the video to Victor as a trade for Chancellor. In this case, Victor wouldn't hesitate to use the video to ruin Claire's romance with Kyle and collect $5 million from him. The Genoa city skyline gleamed beneath a haze of early evening clouds as Kane Ashby quietly sipped his bourbon from the Grand Phoenix bar. He hadn't meant to return, not really, but unfinished business had a way of pulling him back into the fire. And lately, the Newman-Abbott drama had sparked hotter than ever. As he tilted his glass, his eyes locked on two familiar figures exiting the elevator, Kyle Abbott and Audra Charles. Their proximity wasn't unusual, business allies, public flirtation, but Kane noticed something different tonight. Kyle's tie was loosened, his hand grazing the small of Audra's back like a man too comfortable, too careless. They weren't hiding, they weren't even pretending. Kane knew an opportunity when he saw one. He slipped a slim camera pen from his coat pocket, a device left over from a side hustle he'd picked up while away from Genoa City. He set it carefully on the bar near an empty rocks glass. They'd made the mistake of choosing a corner table in plain view. As Kyle's hand slid beneath the table and Audra leaned in with a sultry smirk, Kane captured it all, audio, video, everything. By midnight, Kane sat alone in his suite, replaying the footage frame by frame. The moans, the whispered promises, the damning evidence of betrayal. Jack Abbott would be livid. Kyle was already skating on thin ice after his romantic fallout with Summer and his increasing clashes with Diane. And now, Kane had proof that Kyle was mixing business with scandal in the most volatile way possible. Audra, ever the schemer, had her own ambitions, and Kane wouldn't be surprised if this rendezvous was a calculated move on her part. But Kane wasn't interested in gossip. He wanted leverage. The next morning, Jack Abbott strode into his office at Jabot, already irritated by a missed shipment and a staff meeting that had turned into a shouting match. The last thing he needed was an unexpected visit from Kane Ashby. But there he was, perched casually on Jack's leather couch, sipping coffee like he owned the place. "What are you doing here, Kane?" Jack asked warily, shutting the door behind him. "Just visiting an old friend," Kane replied with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "And maybe delivering a little intel." Jack narrowed his eyes. I'm not in the mood for games. Kane leaned forward, pulled out a USB drive, and dropped it onto Jack's desk. I think you'll want to watch this before you dismiss me. Jack hesitated, but curiosity won. He inserted the drive and clicked play. What he saw made his jaw tighten. Kyle and Audra, locked in a scandalous embrace, right inside the Grand Phoenix. It wasn't just a lover's tryst, it was an ethics nightmare. Kyle, an Abbott heir, engaging in an affair with a volatile business executive known for manipulating alliances? It could destroy Jabot's credibility. And if Victor Newman caught wind of it, he'd pounce. What do you want? Jack growled, shutting the laptop and facing Kane with barely concealed fury. I want back in, Kane said calmly. Jabot International Division. The one Kyle has mismanaged into the ground. You need someone who understands international markets, someone without emotional baggage. Give me that post, or I release this to the press. Jack's fists clenched. You'd blackmail your way into this company? I'm not blackmailing you, Kane countered smoothly. I'm giving you a way out of a PR disaster. If this leaks, Kyle's reputation burns. And Audra? You know how quickly she'll flip and claim she was manipulated. You'll lose investors, credibility, and Kyle. Jack stood, looming over him. Get out. Kane rose too, unshaken. You have 48 hours. Then I go public. Your choice. As Kane left, Jack turned back to the laptop, the video still paused mid-embrace. He slammed his fist down on the desk. Kyle had made many mistakes, but this? This was nuclear. Meanwhile, Audra lay in bed beside Kyle, twirling his hair between her fingers. She wore his shirt, and he was shirtless, glowing with the smugness of a man who believed he had it all under control. But her mind was already 10 steps ahead. She hadn't counted on Kane Ashby's reappearance, or his surveillance. Her contacts at the Grand Phoenix informed her someone had asked for the security logs. She knew Kane's methods. She'd underestimated him once, she wouldn't do it again. I think your dad knows, Audra said softly. Kyle sat up, alarmed. What? He was giving off serious betrayal energy at Jabot this morning. Kane was in town too. I think he recorded us. Kyle's eyes widened. Damn it. Audra slid out of bed, cool and composed. We need to contain this. Kyle scrubbed his hands over his face. I'll talk to my dad. No, Audra said quickly. Let me. Kyle hesitated. Why? Because if we make this about family, it turns emotional. Let me spin this, like I always do. Kyle reluctantly nodded, watching her dress with chilling efficiency. He hated how easily she took control, and yet, he knew she might be the only person who could undo this. Audra arrived at Jack's office unannounced, strutting in with confidence. Jack. We need to talk. I don't want your excuses, Jack snapped. Then I won't give you any, she replied. I came to offer a solution. Jack leaned back. I'm listening. Kane wants in, right? Let him. Put him in a role that sounds powerful but is actually isolated, give him just enough rope. Let me steer the board into thinking he's a genius, then watch him sabotage himself. Jack studied her. Why help me? Because I don't like being leveraged. And because Kyle still matters to me. Let me handle Kane, Jack. I'll make sure he never sees a return on this blackmail. Jack didn't fully trust her, but he saw potential in her plan. A trap for Kane, devised by Audra, might just be poetic justice. 2 days later, the announcement was made, Kane Ashby was returning to Jabot in a global strategy role, focusing on niche acquisitions abroad. Publicly, it sounded glamorous. In reality, he was being sent to the company's most remote outposts, places where his authority was minimal and his access restricted. But Kane saw through the charade. "You think I don't know what this is?" he snarled at Audra during a chance meeting at society. She smiled coolly. "I know you know. The question is, what are you going to do about it?" Kane leaned in. "Don't think you've won, sweetheart. That video isn't my only card." "I hope it's not," Audra said. "Because I'd hate for this game to end so soon." As she sauntered away, Kane knew the war was just beginning. Back at Jabot, Kyle faced his father behind closed doors. "You betrayed this company," Jack said coldly. "I made a mistake," Kyle said, "but I can fix it." "You've said that before." "I'm not the only one playing games, Dad. Audra's working you too." Jack studied his son. "If you want to earn back your place here, prove to me you're better than her. Outsmart her. Beat her at her own game." Kyle stood straighter, something shifting in his gaze. "I will." But he wasn't sure if that meant beating Audra, or partnering with her more strategically than ever. As the weeks passed, Jabot became a pressure cooker of secrets, blackmail, and fractured alliances. Kane discovered his budget slashed, his staff replaced with interns, and his project stonewalled. Audra, meanwhile, charmed the board into funding a new expansion strategy, pinning Kyle as her co-lead. She kept Kyle close, whispering promises at night and plotting contingencies by day. Then the unthinkable happened: someone leaked the footage. But not all of it, just enough to hint at Kyle and Audra's inappropriate conduct without naming dates or details. It landed on a gossip blog and instantly exploded across social media. Jack confronted Kane, livid. "You did this." But Kane shook his head. "Not me. Someone else has the footage now." Jack went pale. "Who?" Kane shrugged. "That's the price of playing games with pros like Audra. She may have leaked it herself, to control the narrative." In truth, Audra had released it. A curated leak, perfectly timed. She framed it as a past indiscretion that had already been handled internally. The board accepted the explanation. Jack, begrudgingly, supported the spin. But the real victory? It disarmed Kane completely. With the footage public, he lost all blackmail value. Kane was cornered. Jack reassigned him to a dormant subsidiary in Kuala Lumpur. Kyle was warned but kept on in a limited role. And Audra? She gained a board seat. Later, as Kane packed his office, he found a handwritten note slipped into his briefcase: "Better luck next time." He crumpled it, but the burn remained. The war in Genoa City was far from over. And somewhere in the shadows, Phyllis Summers watched the entire circus unfold with a sly smile. Because she had her own copy of that tape. And her game was just beginning. Phyllis Summers tucked the flash drive back into her jewelry box, her fingers trembling slightly, not from fear, but from the rush of anticipation. She hadn't meant to stumble across the footage. It was pure luck, really. A tech contact who owed her a favor had been sweeping the Grand Phoenix network, and a backup server copy of Kane's footage had been miraculously preserved, buried beneath layers of encrypted data. Phyllis knew gold when she saw it. And this? This was gold with teeth. She paced her suite, replaying the audio in her head, Kyle's voice low and hungry, Audra's silky manipulations, and smiled to herself. She could blow them both to smithereens. But that wasn't her style anymore. Not since her messy redemption arc. No, now she needed something smarter, more satisfying than petty revenge. Something that would place her right back at the center of Genoa City's power circle. And to do that, she'd need an ally. Or a pawn. Her thoughts drifted to Summer. Her daughter had been deeply wounded by Kyle's betrayal, first emotionally, then publicly after the leaked footage ignited online scandal. But Summer was no shrinking violet. Phyllis knew her girl still had fire left in her, and a carefully timed push could turn heartbreak into dominance. Kyle wouldn't know what hit him. Meanwhile, Kyle paced the corridors of the Abbott mansion, dodging eye contact with Harrison and Diane. Jack's warning still rang in his ears, "Prove you're more than a scandal." The media firestorm hadn't died down. If anything, it had morphed into whispers at every board meeting, every investor pitch, every Jabot lunch hour. Even Harrison's teacher had raised an eyebrow when picking up the boy from school. The shame was palpable, and Kyle hated it. Audra, for all her poise, was suffering from the fallout too. She masked it well with her power suits and aggressive boardroom tactics, but inside, she was scrambling. Someone had blindsided her by leaking the edited footage, and worse, it wasn't Kane. She was convinced of that now. His brand of blackmail was direct and gloating. This was surgical. She stormed into Crimson Lights, eyes scanning until she spotted Phyllis. "I know it was you," she said sharply. Phyllis didn't look up from her latte. "You'll need to be more specific." Audra slammed her hand down. "The leak. You had the footage." Phyllis gave a small, amused smile. "Let me ask you something, Audra. Why do people always assume I'm the villain when I'm the only one cleaning up the mess?" Audra leaned in. "If you're looking to make me a target." "Oh, sweetheart," Phyllis interrupted smoothly. "You've already made yourself one." Audra narrowed her eyes. "What do you want?" Phyllis tapped her cup. "To see my daughter get what she deserves. Power. Respect. Maybe a little revenge along the way." "You think Summer wants your help? After everything?" "She doesn't have to want it. She just has to benefit from it." Audra hesitated. She could feel Phyllis tightening the noose, weaving herself into the game. But she also knew Phyllis wasn't bluffing. If she had the footage, and clearly she did, she was capable of more damage than Kane ever dreamed of. Across town, Jack paid a visit to Jill at Chancellor Winters. He needed insight, and possibly an alliance. The fallout from Kyle and Audra's scandal was creating ripples across business circles, and Jack needed to shore up his standing with someone who understood legacy, stakes, and ruthless family loyalty. Jill, sipping scotch in her executive suite, listened quietly as Jack laid out the chain of events. "So let me get this straight," she said at last. "Kyle sleeps with a schemer, Kane tries to extort you with it, Audra fakes contrition, and now Phyllis has the nuclear codes?" "In a nutshell," Jack muttered. She chuckled. "God, I love this town." "Jill, focus." "I am focused," she said, eyes gleaming. "This is an opportunity, Jack. Not a crisis." "How?" "You let Summer rise. She's the only Abbott left untouched by scandal. You give her the reins of something major, make her the new face of Jabot's future. She may not be ready. She's more ready than Kyle. Trust me." Back at the Abbott estate, Diane was fuming. "You've made a mockery of everything we built," she hissed at Kyle, who had retreated to the garden to escape the press outside. "I didn't plan for this to happen," he snapped. "You didn't plan at all, that's the problem. I can fix this." "No, Kyle. I don't think you can. And if you don't start thinking like an Abbott, you're going to be replaced." Summer was already halfway there. She'd received an unexpected offer from the board, overseen by Billy and Ashley, to take over a major product expansion project. It wasn't Jack's doing, she quickly realized. This was someone else maneuvering behind the scenes. Someone like Phyllis. But Summer didn't argue. She was tired of playing second fiddle to Kyle's drama. She accepted the offer, and quietly decided it was time to take control of her own legacy. Phyllis found her that evening at Society. "I didn't ask for your help," Summer said. "I know," Phyllis replied. "But you needed it." Summer studied her mother. "What's the catch?" "No catch," Phyllis said. "Just this, don't play it safe. Play to win. Summer nodded, a fire rekindled in her eyes. A few days later, Phyllis made her next move, delivering an anonymous package to Victor Newman. Inside, a full, unedited copy of the footage. Not to humiliate Kyle, but to place pressure where it mattered. Phyllis knew Victor wouldn't sit on this information. He'd weaponize it to his benefit, and in doing so, shift the corporate dynamics once again. Victor wasted no time. He summoned Audra to the Newman Tower. "You've disappointed me," he said coldly. "I had everything under control. Losing control is exactly what brought you to my attention in the first place. You're slipping. What do you want, Victor? To remind you who's in charge. And to make sure you know, next time you betray this family, I won't use a recording. I'll use something far worse." Audra swallowed hard. Understood. Meanwhile, Kane sat in a Kuala Lumpur office, staring at reports he didn't care about and dreaming of revenge. His phone buzzed, a private number. When he answered, he heard Phyllis's voice. "You really should have deleted all your copies," she said lightly. "You leaked it. I fixed your mess. What do you want?" "Nothing. Just wanted you to know you were outplayed." Kane hung up, fury brewing. But deep down, even he had to admit, it had been a brilliant checkmate. By the end of the month, the dust had settled, on the surface. Kyle remained at Jabot, benched but not fired. Audra clung to her position, sharper now, less reckless. Summer stepped up, delivering her first project ahead of schedule and under budget. Investors praised her. Jack beamed. Diane stewed. And Phyllis? She stood alone at Crimson Lights one morning, sipping coffee, watching as Audra walked by in silence and Kyle followed 2 paces behind. She smiled. "I love when a plan comes together," she whispered. But Genoa City never stayed quiet for long. Because just 2 blocks away, Tucker McCall had received an encrypted email. The subject line? What Audra and Kyle did wasn't the whole story. And attached? A second video. One that showed someone else, someone unexpected, watching them from the shadows. And holding the camera. Will video kill Claire? Explosive. The Young and the Restless spoilers hint that more drama is coming for Kyle and Audra, so stick with us and we'll bring you all the latest dish on this hot situation. Tell us what you think about bedroom cams. Be sure to catch up on everything happening with The Young and the Restless right now. Come back here often for the hottest Y&R updates, news, and spoilers. Get comfortable, and gain access to the best soap intel on the web.